Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be my first impressions video to the Ruger LCRX chambered in .22 long rifle. This revolver has adjustable sights in the rear. I ended up having to just move them slightly down. It was just shooting a little bit high for me right out of the box. Once I moved them down, it was pretty much dead on. I don't think I have ever really torture tested a revolver as much as I did today. And as torture testing, I mean I shot a ridiculous amount of rounds through it today within about an hour period. So I actually ended up shooting an entire brick of 500 rounds of .22 long rifle through it. And this monster had no issues, guys. I was so pumped. It had no issues from round 1 to round 500. It never had a failure of any type. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you guys were assuming that that's kind of a no-brainer, and that's definitely the case. Originally, I kind of wanted this revolver in a .38, so that way I could kind of get the feel for having it in a full-size caliber. However, I started realizing that the .22 would be an awesome little plinker to have in the collection, and it's super affordable to shoot. It allows me to practice a double action trigger pull and also to practice obviously your revolver single action trigger pull. So let's get right into the really awesome positives of this revolver. The first is obviously, like I just had stated, it's extremely reliable. I had no issues at all, and it's probably the most reliable .22 long rifle that I have in the collection, hands down, which is awesome. The second really plus thing, I'm not going to completely dry fire it, but the double action trigger pull in the Ruger LCR series or the LCRX series is absolutely phenomenal. They continually impress me when we get all the different models of the LCR series in the shop. The double action trigger is probably one of the best double action triggers out of box I've felt because of the system that their hammer and trigger function with internally in the revolver. It really is a great design, and although it's still a heavier double action trigger pull, you really don't feel it that much. And you guys can see in some of the back roll footage during the rapid firing, it was just super easy to get extremely rapid shots with, which leads us on to our next thing that's a huge plus side to this, and that's the extremely low recoil. This kind of Hogue style rubber overmolded grip here that Ruger throws on is phenomenal. It's not really big and bulky. Some of the Hogue grips out there are really huge and they fill the hand, but it's just, it's almost a little bit too much. This is slim and very vertical, so it gives you a very natural feel when you grip the pistol, and when I grab it with both my hands, it feels awesome, guys. I can get really high up on the gun, my thumb falls right where it should, and the grip is just absolutely amazing. So if you were going to go with the LCR, I think the full size feels super comfortable, but even the more compact 38s, 357s, they even have 9mm, those all feel great as well. Another positive about the revolver that I noticed the entire time is those of you who shoot a lot of revolvers will know that a lot of the time when you use the ejection rod here to push out all your empty casings, a lot of the time they don't want to come out, and you kind of have to use a lot of leverage to get them out, and that was definitely not the case with this LCRX because it is .22. So the cases were so much shorter, the empty cases, than normal revolver rounds, that once you pressed, it sometimes needed a little bit of motivation to actually press it, but once you press it out, the ejection was extremely positive. It just basically shot all the empty casings immediately out, like all over the floor, and it was perfect. I never had one time where they weren't coming out. And that says a lot because the .22 LR we were shooting definitely had a little bit of wax coating around it, nothing major, but it was really nice to see that it wasn't getting stuck in the cylinder and not wanting to come out. So really the only downside I could see to this revolver would be simply the slow process, obviously, for reloading. So with a normal revolver with a full size caliber, it's kind of a lot easier to just single load each one if you had to. And then there's a really huge amount of speed loaders all over the place for you to just drop your ammunition in. I was trying to do some surfing around on the internet, and just with a brief Google search, I wasn't finding much available for a .22 speed loader that would fit the LCRX. So unfortunately, guys, I was hand loading each individual round for the total 500 rounds, and that definitely got old quick. I think if you wanted to use this as a defensive sidearm, the really kind of slowed process of reloading is a huge hit to it, and that would be a hit to really a lot of revolvers out there. At the end, we pretty much just started burning the revolver up and shooting through about 150 rounds continuously. We'd dump them out on the table, we'd shoot through the entire cylinder, load it up, shoot through it again, shoot through it again. And we'd do that process over and over again because honestly, guys, I just wanted to see if the extra heat would cause those casings to stick, would cause them to not want to eject, or would cause any other issues. And I wanted to see really the quality of the craftsmanship that goes into this revolver, because normally when things get really hot like that, they start to fail. And I'm proud to say that there was absolutely no issues. The really remarkable thing was because everything is so thick in the construction, the heat really never got that bad, especially in the barrel. Now it did get hot kind of around the top of the cylinder, obviously, and we definitely felt that while we were grabbing it. If our thumb accidentally, touched the cylinder or something like that during reloading, it definitely was hot. But up by the barrel, after about 100 rounds continuously, you could still easily, grab the barrel without like melting your skin off. And on a normal semi or a normal full bore revolver, that's generally not the case. So I was very impressed with that. The Ruger LCRX gives you 8 rounds right out of the gate, which is nice capacity for a revolver for sure. It's in a very compact package, and this gun is ridiculously light, guys. I had no issues at all with maneuvering it, with shooting it fast, with moving between targets because of how light it is. And that's the case with a lot of the LCR series, which is why people like them so much for concealed carry. I think it's a phenomenal addition to the collection, and I think you could use it for defense because it was 100% reliable. And you could definitely load it with some higher velocity 22s, and I think it would be a really good candidate because, again, super reliable, downside, slow reloading. However, I also think that this is a great youth, or not even youth, somebody who is not familiar with firearms, a great training tool for them to learn on because the recoil is so low. That's going to wrap this video up. I just wanted to give this revolver here a little bit of a first impressions. I am so excited to get a really high round count on this over time, and I want to see how it lasts. So there will definitely be an update follow-up video like I always do in the future, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell down there so you guys know whenever I post a cool new video like this. I'm posting one about once a week now. Be sure to click the links down in the description. It'll bring you to my Facebook and my Instagram account. Be sure to give both of those a follow. On my Instagram account, I still do daily posts, so you guys will see just a little bit more inside my day-to-day life, some cool shooting videos, every time I get a new gun, every time one has issues. You guys will see that immediately on the Instagram account, so be sure to give that a follow. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more great videos to come soon.